All right, we are back. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. Ben, how you doing, man?
Great, great. Good to see you again, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, you were there writing rap lyrics, I think, right? So Ben, we were talking about, just your origin story, right?
Yeah.
Not a not a villain arc, but or was the villain arc?
Well, no, I mean, it was just sort of stumbling into it, and
Mhm.
collaboration, communications, using the internet as a medium for people to communicate was always what I was interested in.
Yeah.
I wasn't an e-commerce person. I wasn't a digital ad guy. It was all about, this is a great tool for humanity to expand
Hmm.
its interconnectedness,
Yeah.
and, uh, and then finding those kind of applications that were ready to move to the next paradigm. So
Right. Right.
putting email on a web page, putting conference calls on the internet,
Hmm.
and now the innovation is putting remote support in the cloud, which sounds sort
Mm.
of counterintuitive
Yeah.
but up until Screen Meet, both parties needed software on their computers, and the way these legacy platforms or applications are designed, they were built before the cloud, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when I got to go to meeting, I said to my boss, the CEO, "Hey, why don't we run everything at AWS?
Mm.
Why are we treating bandwidth like it's expensive? It's cheap. Why are
Yeah.
we treating network computing like it's a scarce resource? It's unlimited."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, well, we built this thing before AWS existed.
Right.
So to re-platform a $500 million business in mid-flight, it's just not going to happen.
Indeed, indeed. And so the jury guy, I know some of us who are on LinkedIn probably missed the beginning part from your first startup to the audio stuff with GoToMeet. Can you just sort of like replay that a little bit for us?
Yeah. So my first business was building a website where you could check your email.
Yeah.
And there was a thing called Hotmail that got launched around the same time. And so we licensed software to basically the world's largest telecoms.
Yeah.
France
Yeah.
Telecom was replacing the Minitel in France with, our software.
Got
And
it. Got it.
the next idea, the next application was making it so you could do conference calls on the internet over Skype, and you could call in on
Mm-hmm.
your phone. And then
Yeah.
that became the audio infrastructure for GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar.
Got
So,
it.
each kind of company, each idea, each application was just sort of taking an existing way to communicate and putting it in the next sort of paradigm of computing.
Yeah. So you're always thinking ahead from a communication perspective.
And then also, what's the thing that's big enough where you can build a business, but small enough that Microsoft's not going to do it, right? Because as the entrepreneur, you have to
Yeah.
constantly, I've seen so many businesses get out to a great start and then they just get run over by Facebook, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
get run over by Oracle. They get run over by Salesforce. So, what's that niche thing and by the way, real time communications is freaking hard to do.
Indeed.
It's
Indeed.
hard. It's hard. It requires a special, you're dealing with voice, you're dealing in 10 milliseconds. With remote desktops, you're dealing in 100 millisecond increments, right?
Yeah.
That stuff
Yeah.
that's not simple.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
it takes a lot of really smart engineering talent and a lot of focus and the right amount of capital. And you can literally become the leader in the market. I mean,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of patience. Screen Meet is 10 years old and we're 1% penetrated in our market, right?
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
it's nothing, right? So the next decade is where all the growth happens,
Indeed. Indeed.
right?
It's funny. We joked about earlier. The notorious Big lyric, right? Stay far from timid. Only make moves when your heart's in it, and live the phrase "sky's the limit." And it's
That's the
funny.
limit.
It sort of matches your journey here, right? Because it's sort of I think about what inspired you to start Screen Me, right? That seems like a mantra for you. That quote.
What inspires anybody to do anything? You see a problem and you want to solve it, right? You see a hill and you want to climb it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's It's a little, it's mainly the intellectual challenge of how I know there's a better way to solve. I know there's a better technical solve.
Yeah.
And so why not us? You know,
Why
if
not
not
us?
us, who's going to do it? And the answer is nobody would have done it. Just the market would have lumbered forward because even now when we meet clients, and that's just because we're just starting to kind of spend on sort of marketing. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I had no idea there was a better version of LogMeIn.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I didn't know I could get off of TeamViewer or Bomgar or whatever, right? Because they just think, oh, that's an old category. Nobody's innovated there. And so for us, that's exhilarating, as weird as that sounds, right? It's exhilarating.
No, no, absolutely. And so, what were some, I guess, the early challenges, right? You faced in the early stages.
Well, the first product we built was the wrong product. We had the right technology, but it was more of a presentation, mobile kind of thing. So it kind of took us a couple years to figure out what to build. And then once you have the right product, finding the customers is always the challenging thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's with money and smart people, you can build anything, but then sort of getting to the customer and getting product market fit is that was sort of the next 2 to 3 years. So
Yeah.
that's the first 5 years of the business, is build the right thing and find the right customers. And we got lucky. You kind of stumble into it. You meet the right people at the right time. There's a guy we met early on named Jim Roth, who is now the chief customer officer at Salesforce, but previously was with a big computer manufacturer down in Texas.
Yeah.
And Jim took a bet on us and still has. And we've had a sort of 7 years of very successful working together. And then as you get into it, you see markets have changed and the way people consume technology has changed. And then you kind of go where you can get maximum leverage, because, the dirty little secret of Screen Meet, which I'll, publicly, is we're a 40-person software company.
Yeah.
We're a 40-person. I mean, think about that. Our biggest competitor has 1,500 people. And we win deals from them
Yeah.
all the time.
And so, is that the nature of building a strong team? That strong 40?
It's the nature of building a great product and then finding leverage in the distribution.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we can get in front of the customer, if we get our product in front of a customer,
Yeah.
we're going to win that deal 9 times out of 10. Which is sounds kind of arrogant, but it's also true.
Yeah.
I think our deal win rate is actually more like 65%, but still, we're a 40-person software company selling to the world's largest. Salesforce, ServiceNow are our customers, in addition to being our investor. Right? We're it's crazy how small we are and how big our customers are.
Yeah, and people might say you're fighting above your weight, but no, you just know how to fight.
Well, you just sort of you just skip to the front of the line. You don't have to fight. You don't have to fight your way to the front, right?
Yeah.
And so that's about finding leverage in the distribution, which is a different kind of solve than solving, but it's a similar kind of problem set. How do I build this technology in the next iterate, in the cloud versus on the desktop, for example, or leveraging AI. And then how do I get it distributed without having to raise $100 million and hire 1,000 people around the world?
Yeah, yeah.
And so those two things are that's where the fun is. That's why you keep doing it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you built a real people culture, and I wonder too. Does that extend to in terms of some of the partnerships? You have a couple strong partnerships. From a ecosystem perspective. And go to market.
I think so. I mean, our whole culture is we're open, honest, and transparent.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the power of saying I don't know. People really like that.
Yeah.
It's true, because it's true. I mean, I'll get you the answer, or I'll find, we'll figure this out together. But I don't know. I don't know. It's amazing how disarming that can be. And it starts at the top. It starts at me. I mean, I don't have all the answers, but I know a lot of smart people. You know, and
Absolutely.
so yeah, I think we've built a culture of like just of like the best ideas win.
Hmm.
Versus a top down, oh, so and so's that guy's boss or that girl's boss, and so they, whatever
Yeah.
they say goes.
Gotcha. And so, I guess with that, what's the strategy, I guess, behind some of the partnerships that you have now? The ServiceNow and
Yep.
Salesforce or what have you. Yeah.
Yep. And then right now we're currently Tanium is having their annual conference, and so we're
Hmm.
a big partner of theirs too.
Yeah.
Well, the level up is, how do enterprises consume software applications today?
Hmm.
And they really want to standardize on a platform or a handful of platforms. And that's not me. That's nothing terribly insightful. That's just right. You've got Salesforce, you've got ServiceNow, you've got
Yeah.
Workday, you've got Coupa, whoever. So depending on which department your software belongs in, it better, or the theory of our case was, it should look like it's a feature of that platform.
Hmm.
And so if you can, and because we had a modern architecture and we could leverage all of the platform's APIs, we could go in as a fast follow or into the existing platform customers and say, when you go do this thing, well, now there's a better tool for it because you never
Yeah.
have to leave your platform. Oh, are you worried about that data going to a Zoom server in China? Well, guess what? Now that data never leaves Salesforce.
Yeah. So,
You know,
how does that embedded strategy sort of play out with customers in terms of how they take it?
um, they freaking love it. That's why we have such
Yeah.
confidence that we're going to win deals when we get in front of customers. Because, do I guess like Tesla or Apple, right? Do you want to buy
Hmm.
a charger that is going to work, or do you want to buy one that maybe doesn't work all the time, right? So
Yeah.
just this idea of like the platforms are consolidating all of the spend, and there's a handful of applications that hang off these platforms.
Hmm.
And if they can appear sort of synthetically to be inside of them,
Hmm.
I mean, the ROI, the time save, the data security, we get through InfoSec at the world's largest companies pretty much like without a hiccup.
Yeah.
And that's because our whole architecture and strategy is, we want to leverage the platform. You've already paid your 5, 10, $20 million to whichever company. And why are you paying them the big bucks? Because they're safeguarding your data.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we leverage that? Why wouldn't we take advantage of that? It's crazy. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like we've just found the seam, and we just keep rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, yeah, and back to the product itself. So Scream It, we talked a little about AI and so forth. And so, how is Scream It leveraging AI to enhance remote support?
Yeah. So, we should probably back up. So Screen Meet is remote support. So we can get on a remote desktop, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux,
Hmm.
and handhelds, Android, iOS, kiosks, and
Hmm.
take them over. Right. On iOS, you can't because it's a limitation of Apple, but on every other device, take them
Yeah.
over. So as if somebody had brought the device to the IT department. And so why is this important? Well, if you have a lot of customers who have problems with their hardware or software, you can fix it on the phone. If you have employees who can't work, you can get them back to work.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of that's the basic thing that our technology does.
Yeah.
Now with AI, what are the key innovations that those problems sort of present, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things is if I'm fixing your computer and I don't happen to be a Linux expert, I can go ask the AI, you know, how to fix the driver on this version of Red Hat. And so now I have sort of a, I can phone a friend in the cloud who's an expert. And that's kind of like a co-pilot thing. That's a pretty obvious one. The more interesting thing is after I finish fixing your computer, instead of having to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes writing notes and remembering what I did, we can send that session to the AI.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is it? It's just a big machine learning processor, right? And it can pull out, oh, Ben, here are the 5 things you did to fix Dave's computer.
Yeah.
And now I can associate that into the case or incident, and it's my source of truth, right? So now the next time somebody has the same problem, maybe they don't need an agent,
Yeah.
right? Maybe ScreenMeet is the AI layer that puts remote support out of business, right? Because we can actually automate ourselves out of business. We can create those knowledge-based articles. We can create, we add to that. It's another slice of that virtuous cycle of deflection.
Yeah, yeah.
And then ultimately, ScreenMeet can fix your computer without a human involved.
Yeah.
Because you can then read the knowledge-based articles and do the work for you. And that's, that's future state. That's sort of late, 2026 kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, but I mean, but you think about it with automation. What's happening is, you're sort of addressing, 2 things. I've always talked about. I cover digital workplace and experience, and one thing I've looked at is, again, how does the experience of people, not just the customer, but also the agent, right? And so what you're sort of addressing here with ScreenMeet is like, how do you make the life of the agent, right, the support agent better, and as well as the customer, because those two are synergistic to me.
Well, and we've always said that, the agent is as much our customer as the employee.
Yeah.
They're the one who has to use the tool. And so some of our customers, what they like about our AI summary is they can use it just to sort of make sure that their agents are following the right steps.
Yeah.
Right. So almost as like an RPA check. So it's because of the open nature of our architecture, we're able to sort of take advantage of the innovation versus having the innovation sort of disrupt us.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of this continuous innovation at scale. And, we wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have, my co-founder, our CTO, Eugene Abovsky, a 10X kind of Silicon Valley guy, and all the people he's attracted to the team are, it's a bunch of smart people who've been working on these problems for a long time.
Yeah, and and one thing when we talk about AI and sensitive customer data, what are some of the measures in place for security and privacy?
Yeah, we get a lot of that. I mean, we have a DPA with the LLM providers. Some of our customers want to run their own LLM, so we have to do prompt tuning. But we as ScreenMeet and the third parties that we use, we don't retain any data for training.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we never have all the data, all the recordings, all the session info. We don't want it. That's a liability for us. It's a liability for our customers. We give it back to our customer in their platform of choice. Salesforce, ServiceNow, Tanium, Microsoft Dynamics, Genesys, whatever. Yeah. And that seems to be the winning architecture.
Interesting. And so, do you envision? It's funny, this past fall, right? Every sort of workplace tech vendor, bringing out AI agents, right? Like Agentforce and what have you. Do you sort of envision a time where, how do all these different agent technologies play nice together? Right? Do you envision a standard coming down the pike at some point?
No, I think it's sort of like there's going to be different agents for different jobs, and then there'll be a chat agent that could hand you off to the ScreenMeet agent to fix your computer. But no, I mean it's sort of like all the vendors want to own the experience, and a lot of the customers are sort of saying, well, I could just build this myself. You're your stuff's not that good anyways, right? And we've all,
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen that in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So no, I think it all becomes sort of, at the platform level, it gets integrated.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you sort of envision the future of work now? Knowing what you know today.
Well, I'm glad I have a liberal arts education because it goes back to saying I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some of the low level tasks. I mean, like scheduling meetings. We got that off of our plate, right?
Yeah.
Having to read through large documents and summarize it. So I just think it's going to be. It's not going to replace human intelligence, but it will save time and augment it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily want to be an entry level knowledge worker right now. I think that gets disrupted.
Yeah.
But one level up from that, I think it becomes very interesting. How do you use these tools to? I mean, they're kind of like superpowers in a sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm not sure the ROI is there yet from a like compute and carbon footprint perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still very early days. It's like when your modem used to get overheated and you had to turn it off.
Ooh, modem. There's a whole audience out there that have no idea.
Yeah, or
The
your
old dial-up
Atari,
days.
like
The old dial-up days.
take your Atari cartridge out, put it in the freezer, right?
Oh
Um,
my god.
but it's just I mean it's just all this all the stuff that used to take a long time is just going to go faster, but there's going to be more to do.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
think the future of work is, I mean, you're still going to need people to do the jobs, but there's
Mhm.
going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of support. You're going to be able to do a lot more. One person's going to be able to accomplish a lot.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think the automation benefits. I think what happens is, with some of the vendors, like I mentioned, even from this past conference season, they were just, it can wash your dishes. I mean, they were just so overhyping it. When they just sort of focused on some of the core benefits, right? They just, sounded they were just selling, a bunch of dreams to people, and it's like, no, let's be sober about what AI does. Let's be sober about the ethics, the risk, and so forth, and how we can just look, like you're saying, augment people's day to day.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, Silicon Valley tech is sort of the kings and queens of hype, right?
Yeah.
They haven't met a technology or an innovation they don't like to think is going to change the world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And in fact, if you take the long-term perspective, like most of that stuff is, you know,
Yeah.
incremental, not evolutionary, not
Yeah.
revolutionary.
Right. After the hype, now let's get down to the sober
Right,
details of what
right.
it's.
Then
Yeah.
there's the kind of, the valley of the trough of
The
disillusion.
trough of disillusionment. Yeah. I'm old
Right.
Gartner guy. I remember those days.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Jeffrey Moore is like my hero.
Yeah.
Again, for if you don't know who he is, you should look him up. But there is, I mean, there's real, like the thing that we're doing, that's real ROI.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 5-10 minutes of time saving per remote support session. So
Yeah.
now all of a sudden those support agents can fix that many more issues in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And stuff that you're doing, it's directly employee and customer facing, right? So you're seeing the ROI in real time.
Yeah, and the other part of it, which is so interesting, which we never even thought of, is because it's in platform, because it
Mm-hmm.
looks like a feature of Salesforce or whatever, people use it more.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's so easy. I don't have to leave ServiceNow to launch Bomgar. I don't have to chair scribble. I don't have to start a new application. I just push a button and it works.
Yeah, it's in context, and if you're living in Salesforce all day or ServiceNow, yeah, you don't have to leave.
You don't have to leave.
Yeah.
Right? So why wouldn't you use the heck out of it?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I just think, there's just going to be more, people are going to be doing more of it. The deflection will incrementally increase,
Mm-hmm.
but also the complexity of the problems will incrementally increase.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So Ben, what would you tell, or what advice would you give to sort of, future entrepreneurs out there, knowing your journey and how you started? What's your key advice?
Get started. Just get
Just get
started.
started.
Find
Yeah.
find something, start poking at it, and then you'll find the thing that matters. I mean, with Screen Meet, we were poking at the wrong thing. With the first I mean, you just, you stumble.
Mm-hmm.
Stumble may not be the right word, but you find your way to the solution, to a big
Yeah.
enough problem and solution. But just thinking about it, like, just get started is my advice.
Find the thing that matters and get started.
Yeah,
I like
or
it.
like directionally, right? You're not
Yeah.
going to find the right answer day one, but if you're in the
Yeah.
right neighborhood, you'll eventually find it. And
Yeah.
With my first company and with this one, I mean, we certainly, you know, we started here and ended kind of here.
Yeah.
But if we had never gotten started, we never would have gotten to the right answer. So just get started is my.
It's a journey. Yeah, it's an awesome journey. And listen to a lot of Notorious B.I.G. Listen to some
A
Wu
little,
Tang. You know.
and started from the bottom. Now we're in.
Now,
Go through it.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. All right.
get it going, get a little freestyle going, man.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let me know, Tay, if you know. I got you.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Ben and I are gonna do a freestyle session here. We got
Right, yeah. We'll have to get the rest of the crew.
Absolutely, it's funny, man. So in college, I was part of like a little rap group. So we'd put out some vinyl. Back in the late '90s, there, man, mid to late '90s. It was interesting times, man. So still friends with these guys today, man. So I went to Adelphi University in Garden City, Long Island, and they had one of the oldest hip hop radio shows. Matter of fact, Public Enemy, Chuck D, Flavor Flav used to host the show. Yeah, it was a big radio show, and we used to go up there every night, man. Just we'd meet like Busta Rhymes and Leaves of New School. All these guys would be there at the radio station. It'd be amazing. It was wild.
Well, Dave, what was the name of your group?
Oh, we were called the AU All Stars, right? Delphi University All Stars.
So is that going to be your walk-on music from here up?
You know what? Yeah, I might have to bring some of those records back, man.
I'm sure it's on YouTube, right?
It is. Oh my god! I found it the other day. I'm just like, people are like, whatever happened to this guy? I'm like, oh man, it was wild.
Were you the MC?
Yeah, I was. It was me and two other main MCs, and then we had like a producer. We did shows and everything, man. College tours. It's wild stuff.
Well, when you do the reunion tour, you'll have to.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Ben, thanks so much for joining me, man. Hope you had a good time chatting. I had a good time. It was great.
Yeah. Peace. I'm out.
Yes, sir. Let's do it, man.
Thanks
everyone for joining us today. It's been so much fun. Join us again. I think Rebecca comes back next week or so, and gonna make it happen. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. See ya. Bye.